Some missions are so simple they're almost forgettable, like, say, delivering a bag of bread. But in the hands of one incredibly determined teenager, this little chore became something else entirely. It's a story of shocking violence, of unbelievable luck, and a split-second decision that would send ripples across the entire Eastern Front.
Okay, so let's set the scene. August 13th, 1942. The time is exactly 6:43 a.m., and that precision is important because from this moment on, every single second is going to count. It's just after dawn, we're deep in occupied Soviet territory, and the war is just a brutal, grinding stalemate.
And here's where it all goes down. A quiet, lonely road cutting through a forest. But the real key here, the game changer, is the fog. It's thick, clinging to everything, cutting visibility down to maybe 50 meters. For most people, that's just a pain. But if you're a hunter, well, it's the perfect cover.
This was the whole job for 16-year-old Leonid Golikov. His orders were crystal clear. Go to a safe house, drop off these 3 loaves of bread, and do not, under any circumstances, make contact with the enemy. Sounds simple, right? Yeah, Golikov had very different plans. And this is where things get just insane. Look at the odds. On one side, you've got one kid, a teenager with an old rifle and one single grenade. And on the other, a full German patrol. We're talking 12 soldiers, a staff car for officers, a troop truck, and even 2 motorcycle outriders. The odds weren't just bad. On paper, this was a suicide mission.
So you've got to be asking yourself, what on earth would possess a 16-year-old to even think about taking on those odds? To get that, we have to rewind a bit and look at everything the war had already stolen from him. See, his motivation, it wasn't strategy. It was pure ice-cold revenge.
Just look at this timeline. It's brutal. In less than 6 months, Golikov's whole world just evaporates. The German invasion kicks it all off. Then, his dad is executed by the Gestapo, all for hiding a picture of Stalin. A few months later, his mother dies from typhus, right there in his arms. By Christmas, he's 16 and he's totally alone. So what are his options? Well, they're not great. He could stay put in his village and probably starve to death. He could try to run for the Soviet lines and almost certainly get shot. Or he could take his brother's rifle, disappear into the forest, and fight. For a kid like Golikov, it wasn't much of a choice at all.
So he joins up with the 4th Leningrad Partisan Brigade, and they value him as a scout. He's a kid, right? He can move around without drawing attention. He's quiet. His commander kept telling him, intelligence wins wars. Reckless attacks are a waste. But for Golikov, after months of just watching German convoys drive by, patience was wearing pretty thin. He wanted to do the killing himself. And that brings us right back to that foggy road. Golikov hears the sound of engines. He sees the convoy coming. Now, standard partisan doctrine says you observe, you report, and you live to fight another day. But Golikov, he sees the fog, he sees a sharp curve in the road, and he decides to write his own doctrine.
So what does he do? He just steps out onto the road, pretending to be some lost farm boy. The German staff car slows down. The driver yells at him in broken Russian. Golikov just fumbles around, pretending to look for papers he doesn't have, luring that car just a little bit closer, letting the seconds tick by.
4 seconds, that's it. That's the fuse time on his F1 hand grenade. He lets the bag of bread drop, pulls the pin, and just tosses the grenade underhand right into the open window of the car. And as he dives for the ditch, a 4-second timer starts on the lives of 12 men.
Boom! The explosion is just catastrophic. The car's fuel tank goes up, and before anyone in the convoy even knows what's happening, Golikov is already back up, firing his rifle from the ditch. His first shot takes down the driver of the lead motorcycle. The ambush is on.
Okay, but these aren't rookies. The German infantry piles out of their truck and starts laying down fire. But instead of staying put, Golikov does something brilliant. He slips back into the woods, uses the fog as a screen, circles around behind them, and shoots the truck driver who's been left completely exposed.
And now, he's not just an ambusher, he's a ghost. The Germans hear a rifle shot from one direction, and then seconds later, another one from a completely different spot. They can't see him. They're just firing blindly into the fog as, one by one, their numbers start to drop. And you know what happens? These hardened combat veterans, they just break. All their training just dissolves into terror, and they turn and run for their lives. Golikov has 1 bullet left. He takes careful aim at a fleeing soldier, fires, and then there's just silence, broken only by the crackle of the burning car.
And just like that, the fight is over. Golikov survived. He did the impossible. But the most important part of this whole story isn't about what he destroyed. It's about what he found in that wreckage, something way, way more valuable than a few loaves of bread.
He runs up to the burning staff car and pulls out a leather document case. And inside, oh man, it's not just some routine paperwork. It's the entire German operational plan for the whole region, the exact kind of high-level intelligence that Soviet command had been absolutely desperate to get their hands on for months.
So you can imagine, when Golikov finally gets back to camp hours later, his commander, Vasiliev, is absolutely furious. I mean, livid. The mission was blown, the safe house was put at risk, all for some reckless, unauthorized firefight. And then, Golikov hands him the case.
And right then, in that moment, everything flips. The commander's anger just melts away. It's replaced by this look of pure shock. He realizes this 16-year-old kid didn't just win a small skirmish. He just handed them the strategic key to unlock the entire front.
So this one act of pure defiance had these huge, immediate consequences. But Golikov's story, well, it doesn't end there. His life, as heroic as it was, would be tragically short, defined by the same war that had made him an orphan in the first place.
Just take a look at the ripple effect from that one decision on that foggy road. The intel he grabbed directly helped a major Soviet offensive succeed. The Germans had to pull frontline troops back to guard their supply lines, and Golikov himself? He'd become a legend, posthumously named a hero of the Soviet Union, the youngest partisan ever to get the award.
But here's the tragic part. He becomes this legend, but he isn't alive to see it. After carrying out 27 more combat missions, Leonid Golikov was killed in a firefight just a few months after his famous ambush. He was only 17 years old.
Years after the war, his old commander wrote about him, and it's pretty powerful. He admitted the kid's incredible nerve had proven him wrong. One person can change the outcome of a battle. But he also wrote about the terrible price that was paid, a childhood just consumed by war, a boy who never got the chance to be anything other than a soldier.
So, there you have it. The story of the 16-year-old who ignored his orders. He was told to be a courier, but he chose to be a warrior. What he did saved thousands of lives, but it was born from a direct violation of command. It really makes you wonder, right? In the middle of all that chaos, where do you draw the line between unbelievable courage and pure insubordination?